Manchester United's search for a new midfielder could be taking another fascinating turn, because one name is now beginning to gather serious momentum, and that's Chelsea's Andrey Santos. Over the past few weeks, we've heard plenty of names linked with Old Trafford. There have been stories involving some of Europe's biggest midfielders, but now it appears United have identified a player who could offer quality, energy, and long-term potential all in one package. He's a Brazilian international, he's technically gifted, he's aggressive without the ball, and he's the sort of midfielder capable of driving his team forward. Rather than sitting deep as a traditional holding midfielder, Santos is someone who likes to win possession, carry the ball into dangerous areas, and arrive late in the penalty box. When you look at Manchester United's current midfield, it's easy to understand why they could be interested. United have lacked consistency in the middle of the park. At times, they've struggled to control games. They've struggled physically against the Premier League's best sides, and they've often relied on individual moments instead of midfield dominance. Santos offers something slightly different. He's comfortable receiving the ball under pressure. He's progressive with his passing, and he works tirelessly off the ball. Those are qualities every top Premier League side is looking for. The biggest question, of course, is whether he's ready to become a regular starter for a club the size of Manchester United. There's no doubting his talent, but making the jump from being part of Chelsea's squad to becoming a key player at Old Trafford is another challenge entirely. One of the first journalists to report Manchester United's interest was Alex Crook on TalkSport. Alex Crook said, "Andrey Santos, the Chelsea midfielder, has been added to Manchester United's extensive list of midfield transfer targets, according to TalkSport. With Manuel Ugarte expected to be sold to provide funds for Michael Carrick's rebuild, those plans have been complicated after Ugarte suffered a serious injury. As a result, Manchester United have pulled out of the race for Matheus Fernandes, with Andrey Santos now emerging as one of the names on their shortlist. So that's an interesting update from Alex Crook. The key point there is that while there haven't been any club-to-club negotiations yet, Manchester United have reportedly made inquiries through intermediaries. That tells us the interest is genuine, but it's still in the early stages. Chelsea aren't desperately trying to offload Santos, but if an attractive offer comes in, this could become one of the stories to watch over the coming weeks. From United's perspective, the attraction is obvious. They're looking to lower the average age of the squad while signing players with genuine resale value. Santos ticks both of those boxes. Statistically, he's developed into one of the most complete young midfielders in Europe. He's capable of recovering possession high up the pitch, progressing the ball through midfield and contributing in the final third. He's also shown a maturity that many players his age simply don't possess. What makes him particularly interesting is his versatility. He can operate as a number 6, a number 8, or even in a more advanced midfield role depending on the tactical setup. That flexibility would give Manchester United plenty of options. However, not everyone is convinced that Santos should be the marquee midfield signing this summer. Here's what Stephen Howson had to say. Andrey Santos, he's behind Casado, he's behind Enzo Fernandez. He can't break into the Chelsea 11. That's our midfield target that's our marquee midfield signing for us to have an assault on the league. Chelsea's third choice midfielder, right? He has made 27 Premier League appearances. He's been on loan about as many times as he started for them. Stephen raises some fair points. Santos hasn't been one of Chelsea's first choice midfielders, and naturally that raises questions. If he's not starting every week for Chelsea, should Manchester United really be spending around $50 million to bring him to Old Trafford? On the other hand, context is important. Chelsea possess incredible depth in midfield, and competition for places is fierce. Sometimes, a player's lack of minutes says more about the squad around him than it does about the player's ability. There's also the argument that Santos hasn't yet reached his ceiling. At just 22 years old, Manchester United wouldn't simply be signing the player he is today. They'd be investing in the player he could become over the next 5 or 6 years. That brings us to another prominent Manchester United voice. Mark Goldbridge also discussed the rumours surrounding Andrey Santos, and here's what he had to say.
I suppose this is the one we all missed. And if you didn't miss it, fair play, because it's probably the most logical transfer story we've overlooked. I've been talking about Manu Kone, I've been talking about Angelo Stilla, but Andrey Santos from Chelsea as the panic midfield signing actually makes total and utter sense. Much like I was saying with Manu Kone, he's a player we spoke about last summer, and someone the club have looked at before. There have even been talks about Andrey Santos. I have to apologize for missing it because, when you think about it, it's incredibly logical. That's why this latest story, which I believe comes from The Guardian this lunchtime, is so interesting. The report claims that Manchester United are targeting Andrey Santos, although Chelsea value him at around 50 million towards Sudoxisias. Newcastle have also been linked with him. Chelsea need to sell players to help Xabi Alonso rebuild his squad, while Santos himself would be interested in a move that guarantees him more first-team minutes.
Goldbridge makes an interesting observation. When you look back over the past year, Santos has been linked with Manchester United on more than one occasion. This isn't a name that suddenly appeared overnight. There have been whispers before, and with Chelsea potentially reshaping their squad this summer, the opportunity to strike may finally have arrived. For Manchester United supporters, this is certainly a story worth keeping an eye on. Santos is young, talented, and still has enormous room for development. If United believe he can become one of the Premier League's top midfielders, then investing now could prove to be a very smart piece of business. But what do you think? Is Andrey Santos the midfielder Manchester United should be prioritising this summer? Is he worth 50 million? Or would you rather see the club pursue another target instead? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. If you've enjoyed today's transfer update, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to United Daily, and turn on notifications so you never miss another Manchester United transfer update. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.